And welcome back, everyone, to Box Office Report today on the 17th of March 2024. I'm pretty sure I did not get the box office right because I didn't think Cabrini would still be in the top 5 this week, but here we are. Kung Fu Panda 4, not surprisingly, as I was right, made it to the number 1 spot this week, barely. And in fact, when the actuals come in, it might actually flip-flop. We'll wait and see. I do it the day of the first announcements, not when the actuals come in. And usually the actuals are pretty close in there. 1 second there. I'm just going to get Rotten Tomatoes up for some references. But Kung Fu Panda came in at number 1 with just around 30 million. It won't be 30 million, but still. Dune Part 2 coming in number 2 spot, second place again for the second time in 2 weeks. 29.1 million, dropping again, less than 40, like good for it, less than 40%. Arthur the King debuts at 7.5 million. Not really surprised by that. There wasn't a huge amount. There was only one other person in the theater with me when I saw it. Imaginary dropped. Actually, didn't take a bad drop, all things considered. Only 43.5 million, 5.6%. And then Cabrini, another 2.8 million, dropping 60 some odd percent though. Kung Fu Panda 4. Let's talk about the good old Kung Fu. 30 million this week, and the international now really picked up a little bit there. 176 million. Honestly, I don't think anyone's got anything to complain about Kung Fu Panda. Like I said, this is a film that will not have any true competition for all of the rest of this month and going all into April. It's not going to be until May do you have anything that directly competes with the demographic that Kung Fu Panda 4 is competing with or is trying to vie for. Now, that being said, with more films coming out, it is going to lose more of a crowd, particularly when there's at least more family-friendlier entertainment coming out. Not that it, but let me put it this way. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is still going to take away some of the audience of this. It is. Godzilla vs. Kong, still going to take away some of the audience for it. So there are definitely movies that can lean itself towards some of this demographic, but the main demographic will still probably be going back repeated viewings for Kung Fu Panda 4. Now that said, Kung Fu Panda 4 is actually made on the lowest budget of all of them, 85 million. I'm assuming we're looking at anywhere in the $50 to $65 million budget range. Why I say that is we're probably looking at a film that has to hit, even if I highball it, let's say 75. If I highball it at 75, or I should say 65, or even 70, looking at a film that's probably going to have to hit in the neighborhood of 230, 240, not even 240 to break even. Right now, it's on a good track to do that. It's at 176 in just 2 weeks. So my guess is this film's just going to do just fine financially. No doubt about that. The question of how well it does overall, especially compared to the rest of the series, is something we're going to have to wait and see. I will say it probably isn't looking good for its long-term box office in comparison to the rest of the series. I'll have to look up the other Kung Fu. In fact, why don't I just do that right now? See what it's competent, because I got another tab open just for this. Kung Fu Panda. There we go. Panda. So let's see here now. Kung Fu Panda. So the first Kung Fu Panda worldwide made $632 million. Okay. Second one made $665 million. And I believe it was made on just a little bit more. Then the third one was made on a little bit less, and it made $521 million. So we have seen now a decline with the third one, and I don't see this one making anywhere near as much, but on literally 60 million less. If this film manages to hit anywhere between 400 and 500, I think they'll call that a win, and they will make a fifth one if the numbers pan out right. Now, granted, that's still a decline in box office, but it's a decline in box office with the caveat that they made this film on a lot less than the other one. Again, 60 million less. That's not small numbers, especially for Hollywood. If it were like 5 million less, I'd say it's probably very comparable and a very big drop. But 60 million? That's over a third of what the first one was made on. So yeah, we'll see what the other ones were made on. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Dune Part 2, 29.1 million this weekend. Right now, grand total, $494 million. Now, I said last week, first off, fantastic. Highest grossing film of the year. It's going to continue to climb. I have no doubt about that. It's easily going to be over $500 million, and as by either tomorrow or by Wednesday at latest. But most importantly, I said that I think that if I see that the film is like at 380 or plus, or like a little over 400 by this week, I'd say that the chances, it increases my chances that I think it's going to hit $1 billion. I said that if it's not, then the chances are pretty much next to none. This is almost at 500 million in 3 weeks. Now, 3 weeks, still a good track, and it's already now, I think, losing momentum. It's still taking great drops, but still, as more releases come out, particularly with Ghostbusters and Godzilla and Kong coming out in these next 2 weeks, it didn't have any competition hurting it this week at all. Like, nothing was hurting it whatsoever. So the $500 million mark, that's set. That's locked. In fact, I'd be willing to bet, and we're seeing at least 700 million easy on this film. Easy. But another $500 million, now that we're going into week 4 for this film, with actual competition now coming out, it's still very possible. Look, it's still possible. As long as it's making money, it's still possible. The possibility shrinks every week, but it's still possible. I'm going to have to wait and see, like I said last week, I'm going to have to wait and see what this week's box office is going to look like. Because with actual mainstream competition, not exact genre, but the next big, tentpole film coming out with Ghostbusters, that's going to give us an idea of what the legs on this thing is going to be. Because I believe it was like at 300 some odd. It just gained another 160 worldwide. We're probably, and so if it's say at like 650 plus next week, I'll still say there's a good chance it could. If it's not, only like around say 600, I'm probably gonna say it won't. At the moment, I'm inclined to think it won't hit the $1 billion mark, but anything is possible. And look, that's not to take away anything from how well this film's doing. It still hasn't made a profit, by the way, though. Apparently, even though its budget is not all that terrible. Comparatively, its marketing budget is what really kind of like put the in the budget, because apparently has to make like 520 to break even, which it will do. It's going to do that no problem now. But yeah, it's a little difficult to predict where it's going to land. But we'll keep our eyes out on it. Arthur the King debuted with $7.5 million. Arthur the King, it was a good little movie. Not anything amazing, but a good little movie. And Arthur the King has a 63% on Rotten Tomatoes. Those are good numbers. Ooh, that might not be good. Hopefully we'll enjoy that. I'm going to go be seeing the American Society of Magical Negos with my friend tomorrow. So 30% for this. Let's just take a quick look at the reviews here. Anyway, this just in. Let's see here. It has a promising premise, but it's too timid to fully engage with its most provocative ideas. Okay, and how many people have 50 review? That's not good. Let's see here. The film's version of the premise relevant to a modern one, but the film's point of view on the state of race relations feels stuck somewhere between 1950. As a white guy, and I can only say this as a white guy, I did get that impression. I really did get that impression. Like this, while I get it, it is topical, and this still exists to this day. That line, it feels like its state of race relations feels stuck somewhere around 1950. That's why this felt so weird. I'm like, this doesn't seem like our modern world. It seems a bit satirical. I'm sure it's a satired version of our world to some degree, but yeah. Society too often panders to the very impulses it's trying to lampoon. Interesting. So many desperate ideas and tones are being mashed up here, and none of them gel. This dull and mishandled racial satire has a bland characters, a weak story, and stale jokes that repeatedly miss the mark. The terrible misfire also fails at spoofing romantic comedies. Oh no. It has a fiery premise, but a tepid execution, leaving its satire. Wait, and that's the thing too. As they said, it is satire. It's not a legit serious movie. It's literally about magical black people trying to make white people's lives better. So I'm not saying in any regard, I'm like, oh yeah, no, this isn't right. No, I'm like, that's because it's a satire. But that's not good. So we'll end up, we'll see what happens. Arthur the King, though, I don't know what the film's made on. I'll be honest, I don't I don't imagine it's a huge amount, but 7.5 million is probably not going to be enough. So anyway, moving on. Imaginary, I believe, from everything I was finding, only has, first off, has a, I believe it was a $12 million budget. And when I looked up the marketing, it said basically the film had to hit like 33 million or something like that to break even, which would make sense, honestly, that the film probably only has like 12 million in marketing as well or something like that. Either way, like the film is not made on a lot. In fact, let me double check what the film is made on. Let's see here. Imaginary. Cause it's just my imagination. Ooh. Budget. You average out to 11 million. If the film is in fact made, it has only like 12 million in marketing. Yeah, the 33 would make sense then, roughly speaking. So, what is Imaginary currently made? Well, it took a good drop. 21.8 million. Now it's got an international starting to creep in there a little bit. It will probably break even. I honestly can see that breaking even. It's not going to be anything amazing, but at least breaking even, maybe even making a little bit of money. Won't be out of the realm of possibility. And it didn't get the best reviews. And while I liked the film, it was certainly better than Night Swim. It still wasn't amazing. It wasn't great. It was a cool premise with definitely some good moments, but I don't think the execution was perfect, to say the least. Cabrini made our $2.8 million. Hey, $13 million for Angel Studios is slowly becoming not like a A24, but a studio that can make some decent little films for reasonable budgets that can kind of bring people back to the theater. Granted, 60% is kind of counteracting what I'm saying there. But regardless, Love Lies Bleeding debuts. It gets an extended. It was only on 5 screens initially, but let's call it debuts with 2.4 million. Yeah, I have not been seeing good reviews for this film. In fact, let me get that Rotten Tomatoes back up there real quick. Where are you, Rotten Tomatoes? There you are. I have not been hearing good things about the film. I heard one person I watched say that someone had gone to see the movie and that they thought Madam Web was better. That is bad juju, man. So where is Love Lies Bleeding? Love Lies Bleeding, though, apparently has 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I don't know. I mean, to each their own, to be fair. 2.7 million, whatever. I can't say much about it. I had intended to actually go out and see this as well, but money's a little tight right now for me. There's some shenanigans going on with that, but I'm fine, don't worry. But still, Bob Marley's One Love, 2.3 million. Worldwide is at 169 million. Well, it's looking like Bob's not going to be able to hit the break-even mark, which is unfortunate for it, but what are you going to do? He can't always win. It will probably cross 170. At most, it might max out to 180, but that's not going to be enough. But it's had a good run, all things considered. Made it to the top 5 4 weeks in a row, which not a lot of movies can do. One Life, which I believe was one of the Oscar winners, or not Oscar winners, sorry, Oscar nominees, was it? No, it's not an Oscar nominee. It's I can't remember. It's some sort of documentary, and I believe not even documentary. It's a biopic. Oh, and it got limited release. Same with the American Society of Magical Negroes. So yeah. Yeah, I don't have much to say about those, honestly. They got limited releases. Wide, but limited. Then you got Ordinary Angels making just about $1 million. It's not even making 20 million right now. So that's a movie that just kind of came and went like a fart in the wind, sadly. Those movies do not bring in the money that they could bring in. Migration, a little over $500,000. Migration's pretty done now. It's run its course. Madam Web, oh God, did Madam Web hit 100? Did it hit 100? No, it didn't. I actually thought it was going to hit 100. It did not. Oh, no, I'm so embarrassed. No, I'm not. Argyle, though. Hold on. I said that Madam Web was going to make more than Argyle. Is that still true? It is. Oh my God, that's so embarrassing. That's so bad. It's really, really bad. Oh, man. Oppenheimer, thanks to the Oscar wins, got a bit of a bump. It's not going to be hitting the $1 billion club, unfortunately. It's just not making the money. If we're making like $3 million, I might say there could be a outside ballpark shot, but no. Wonk is also pretty done. It's run, yeah. Maybe if it's lucky, you could get that to like 620 or 630, but doesn't need to. And none of the other films actually need to. So yeah, that is the box office for this week. No real big surprises. Like Kung Fu Panda, figured it would be able to stay number one, if not only barely. It's doing well. Dune Part 2 doing really well. Everything is doing fairly well. I mean, if we look at the top 10 of the box office, which is where the $1 million range ends, you're looking at between the 10, 2, and 1 spot, 60 million right there. You're looking at another, 73 million right there. Then you're looking at those. That's about 578, about 80. You're looking at about 82 million at the box office, which, and that's not even including any of the stragglers this week, which, good for the box office. And it shows that the box office is still overall fairly healthy. We're about to have a new big release this week with Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. The Boy and the Hare and Luca are getting wide releases, but it's not going to matter, especially as we saw with Oppenheimer. The wide release in the Oscar win didn't help it that much. Immaculate's the only other wide release. It is a horror film, but I have not seen the trailers enough to think most people would end up going to see it, but who knows. Either way, I will put Ghostbusters Frozen Empire at number 1. I think that's just a safe bet. Even if you get low drops, less than 50%, Ghostbusters is probably going to make at least minimum high 20s, low 30s minimum, if not more. But we haven't heard anything about Ghostbusters yet, so that is a problem. But I'll still put Ghostbusters at number 1. Oh, man. Who dropped less this week again? Okay, so Dune Part 2 dropped less. Ooh, dear. And so if we're looking at this from this perspective, I'll actually have to put Dune Part 2 back at number 2 spot, or keeping the number 2 spot, I should say. Then I'll put Kung Fu Panda. Ooh, dear. Screw it. Why not throw Immaculate in there? It's a new horror film. Some people will go see it. And then I guess I'll throw Arthur the King in there. I don't know. Those last bottom two are that's difficult to pinpoint. Who do you got for the box office next week? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you folks later.